Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Ruston. We are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And as always, we are very appreciative of the Ooltewah Club for being our title sponsor. They are awesome to us. We appreciate them. I was out there today. I will not say what I shot because it was absolutely terrible, but it was a lot of fun being out there. It was a little hot, but it was great. Fantastic. Greens are in great condition. Course is in great condition. Really, really enjoy it. And as always, we're appreciative of the Believe Entertainment Network. We're proud to be representatives of the University of Tennessee on the Believe Entertainment Network. But I'm telling you what, there is only one person who my kids, every time we have him on our show, they always make a point to come up here and say hi to our guest before we go live. And that is none other than Santa Vol himself. Santa, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. And, of course, the kids want to say hi. They're going to make sure they've got the goodies at Christmas time. So I can understand
Absolutely.
that.
You got to make sure you're on that good list, the nice
exactly,
list.
Exactly.
It was cool. I've done cart cam episodes at the Ooltewah Club with both of my kids and one of Ruston's kids. And every time we do that episode, I always ask whoever's in the cart with me, who has been your favorite person we've ever had on our show to interview. All three kids said you without hesitation.
I love it.
That is awesome.
That's great.
And I love the some of the comments already coming through. Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. Great to have you. He said, ho, 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 Merry 4th of July to all of you with the Santa emoji. That's what I'm talking about. Jonathan, welcome. Great to have you. He said, hello, Evan, Ruston, Santa Vol, and chat family. Hope everyone has had a great week so far. Hope you have too. Matt, hey, what's up, Matt? Good to have you. Here's a channel member. He said, go Vols, baby. Absolutely. He's using that emoji. I like it. One day, StreamYard, we'll get with them and it'll all be right. And we'll be able to see the actual emoji instead of the code for it on here. Let's see. Mr. Osborne, there's a channel member. Appreciate you, Mr. Osborne. He said, hello, Vol Bros chat family and Santa Vol. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Absolutely. Let's see. Jonathan said, don't forget to tell your mom and them about the Vol Bros. Absolutely. Totally agree. Absolutely. Rhonda, welcome. There's a channel member. She said, happy 4th of July, everybody. Hope y'all doing well and on this beautiful day. Absolutely. Mississippi Vol said, hit that like and subscribe button. Santa's watching.
Always.
He sure is. He sure is. And then Rhonda said, welcome, Santa Vol. I've been a good Vol fan. Rhonda's on the nice list. That's what I'm talking about. Well, Santa, so we appreciate you joining us as always. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen because last July, if everybody remembers, last July we had Santa Vol on our show and he gave us his game-by-game prediction for the whole season. And so this July, we're right back at it. And hopefully this can be an annual tradition. I know you're probably busy in the month of December, especially Christmas Eve, but thankfully we're having Christmas in July right now.
There you go. There you go.
And so what we'll do, we'll just go through each game, and you tell us how you think the Vols are going to do in each of these contests. How about that?
Sounds good. And like I said last year, got to preface it with I'm terrible at making predictions because I'm like the most eternal of optimists. So it's like, okay, how many games do we play? 12. Okay, we're going to win 20 games then. We're going to go 20 for 12. I mean, it's just, I never think we're going to lose. So it's kind of hard for me to, even fathom that. But I'll try to be straight.
That's a good season when you win more than you play. That's a good season.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, all righty. Well, let's start out with a neutral site game. They're going to kick off the season in Atlanta against Syracuse. Now, certainly closer to Knoxville than Syracuse, but what do you think happens in Atlanta for that game?
I think this game is going to have, it's first game of the season, so of course it's going to have a lot to do with the season, but, regardless of who the quarterback is, we're going to be, finding out how we're going to look, getting our feet underneath us. I like Syracuse as a matchup. I think there'll be a good test. I think we still win, but it's going to be a test to see how our offense is going to line out with where's the leadership going to come from. Yeah, I think we go to Atlanta and take care of business, and I think there'll be a lot of Vol fans down there. I'll be there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish I remembered I gave this section. I'm in one of the end zones, but I'm debating if I'm going to go full Santa gear or go with the Santa suit. But it's indoors, so it won't be as hot. So I'll probably go full 9. But
That's what I'm talking about. I wonder how many times you have appeared on major television networks during games.
the the one the ones that have been big, my phone's usually blown up either from Twitter or from people texting me. But I remember and I'm going to name drop because I'm a wrestling fan, but the 2020 Florida game when it was like half empty stadium, and when they came back from commercial, they had me and then had like a picture of a Florida fan sitting beside us, and my phone buzzed, and I looked, Ricky Morton, WWE Hall of Famer, great wrestler. Hey, bud, you're on TV, and I'm like, okay, am I more impressed on TV? Awesome. I'm more impressed that Ricky Morton's actually texting me. I mean, so. But yeah,
there have been so many times I've been watching a game and I'll be like, hey, there's Sandoval.
But yeah, I do wonder how many it is, or how many people are like, hey, I know that guy. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, what's cool is, we've had like Cole Kubelik on our show before. He's on SEC Network. We've had players like Felix Akpara and his family on our show this past year. He's been on television networks. Well, we got another person who's been on a whole bunch of television networks right now. That's pretty exciting. So we're 1-0 according to Santa to kick off the year. What would be really awesome is if we kick a game-winning field goal as time expires, and everybody immediately starts comparing it to 1998 when we beat Syracuse with a game-winning field goal as time expires.
Well, I don't remember. Somebody had tweeted it out that, we lost the all-star quarterback. We got blown out by a Big Ten school. And I'm like, guys, let's pump the brakes. I mean, come on. Everything can't be fate.
Well, all righty. So week 2, it's a home opener against ETSU. Do you think the football team suffers the same fate as the baseball team this year, or do you think they take care of business and beat ETSU?
I think we'll take care of business. The only thing, even looking ahead to Georgia, it's still, and no disrespect to ETSU, but I mean, we're past where we were, 10 years ago, where maybe they matched up athletes with us. Our bench should be deep enough that we should be able to take care of business against ETSU. Although I can see looking ahead to the, to the Bulldogs, that could be something, but yeah, I don't think we have any problems there.
Well, let's look at that game now. So week 3. Now this is different. This is weird,
right?
Because Matt said we're going to beat the brakes off ETSU.
Sounds good to me.
Probably so. Elijah, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. There's a channel member, watch party fan member. You say, "What's up, bros?" Rhonda said, "All I want for Christmas is a natty, Santa. All sports, please."
That's a big ask.
I'm doing what I can.
Every sport. That's what I'm talking about. Matt said he's getting whips and ashes for sure.
That's quite the combo.
Yeah. All righty. So this is a little different than normal. Normally week 3 or 4, we're playing Florida.
Right.
Not this year. We got Georgia in Neyland. Sandoval will be there handing out candy canes, I'm sure, at the Vol Walk.
Yes, sir.
So what do you think?
I really don't know what Georgia's going to be, coming in with, their quarterback ran off to Miami. So, they'll be breaking in somebody fairly new. Much like, Syracuse could be a telling thing. This could be a telling thing. I mean, and Amen. The folks that want to compare it to, to the 98 games or 98 season, if we come in 2-0, if we can pull an upset with Georgia, because I'm sure they're going to be favored. I mean, just because it's Tennessee, but I think, if we can get it to the 4th quarter, who knows what could happen. So, might as well go ahead and say Tennessee wins, because I'm the eternal optimist. So, I think it'll be a close game, but, going into the 4th quarter, be a toss up. And then, if we can finish it, why not? Unless we're looking ahead to UAB. I mean,
Yeah, definitely not a trap game here.
Shouldn't be a trap game there, but who knows?
But you make a very interesting point here. Like you said, if Tennessee can get it into the fourth quarter at home, anything can happen at that point.
Right.
And if Tennessee does beat Georgia, that would immediately catapult Tennessee into the top 5 of the rankings. That would be a huge, huge momentum swing for the Vols to start the year.
Now, one thing if we can get it into the fourth quarter, the Neyland effect's going to take place. But what did you guys think about the schedule with really potentially only one real night game at home? I don't like that.
Potentially.
Yeah, it was a little odd.
And even with a 2:00 game in September, well, it's not going to be dark by the end of the game. I mean,
right.
You get those late season games, the afternoon games, it can be dark by the time the game's over. But the past few years, the Neyland dark games, I mean, Neyland at night, it's been rocking in there, man. So,
absolutely,
daytime's fun too, but it's just a different environment.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, that 3:30 kickoff for Georgia, it won't be dark that night until probably 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So,
and it'll be nice and cool for some guy wearing a freaking Santa suit. But anyway,
you got to break out the summer version of the suit for that one.
Get the short sleeves out.
Does it come with a shorts option?
Yeah, I've got that.
He's got it. He's rocking and rolling. He's ready. Oreo Puppy Dog, welcome, buddy. He said, I would like to play Georgia first game at home. That'd be a nice little home opener.
That would be interesting.
Sure. Elijah said Georgia's always struggled at the start of the season. Plus, them breaking in a new quarterback gives us a good chance.
Yep.
Fair point. Absolutely. Matt said, all I want from Santa is a Georgia win.
Do everything I can, Matt. Always give it my all.
Jonathan said he's calling it right now. We beat Georgia by a touchdown. That's what I'm talking about, buddy.
Sounds good to me.
So, Santa, right now, you got to start off the year 3-0. And like I said, if we beat Georgia, we are certainly in the top 5 at that point. So, top 5 team going into the September 20th, 12:45 kickoff against UAB in Knoxville. What do you think?
That's 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. It'll be
totally agree.
Yeah.
So 4-0. And our first true road game of the season at Mississippi State. Look at what's on the ads that it's showing me over here on the side. It knows I've been searching for golf equipment. It's always watching.
Always.
Yep. Sub 70 actually is one of the brands I'm considering. That's the golf clubs you're seeing on the screen.
Have you guys ever been to Starkville?
Yes.
I've only been once, but I don't know how they recruit for any sport. I told somebody it's like it feels like you're 6 hours from Memphis and 12 hours from New Orleans and right in the middle of nothing. Yeah. And it's just God bless them if they can get anybody to come in there. But I mean,
the interstate literally dead ends into Starkville. Yeah. Like it's just bizarre.
Right.
That was I was about to say, it's the first place I've ever been where they said, go until the interstate ends. And I was like, wait, what? And Ruston's exactly right. It literally just turns into an exit ramp.
You get off and you're on a 2-lane road and there you go. But kind of like the drive from Memphis to Starkville was like the drive from Nashville to Memphis. It's a 12-hour, 3-hour trip. It's just, good Lord.
Tony said Georgia has beaten us worse than Neyland since Heupel's been here. Just saying. I don't know about that. The Butch Jones era were not fun at all.
That 45-0 game, was it 45?
Yeah.
Whatever. When the first play of the game, he had poor JG trying to throw a flat pass 50 yards across the. I have nightmares. Still have PTSD from Butch.
Matt said he's going to be at the Mississippi State game. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Yes, sir.
Glad you'll be there, Matt.
He's going to stay in Oxford, but he's going to Mississippi State.
Well, Santa, what do you think happens on our first true road game here?
I think we take care of business. I'm going to be honest. I don't know anything about Mississippi State this year. I don't know what they got coming back. I'm just
a quarterback. Blake Shapen's pretty good. Okay. Everything else is still highly questionable.
Yeah, even in the years where they've had really good teams, it's still. I don't want to say anything, negative about any schools, but they've always seemed to be the kind of second level when it comes to SEC. Not a bad team, but not next level, So
Mm-hmm.
Elijah said State's going to be bad. Mississippi Vol with some good advice here. He said, I'm going to warn you, if you go, your ears will be ringing for 2 to 3 days afterwards. Their fans, for the most part, aren't too bad.
But the Cowbells.
So you got us at 5-0 at this point.
Yes, sir. Full steam ahead.
And we go. Matt said West Point up the road with family. I'm a State fan too. He's staying at West Point right up the street, apparently, from Starkville. There you go. Elijah said Mississippi State doesn't have fans. They do. They don't like Ruston and I can tell you that much right
now. All we have to do is make one statement about them, and they will be all over our mentions. They come out of the woodwork.
Okay.
So Santa, just so you know, every year, right after SEC Media Days, which is shockingly less than 2 weeks away now.
Right.
But every year after SEC Media Days ends, Rustin and I, one of our shows is, we do it every July, we'll make a record prediction for every SEC team for that season. And last year, neither one of us predicted a very, successful year for Mississippi State. And somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody, one of their fans retweeted that video. And man, I think we were the most watched show in Mississippi that week. It was like everybody was commenting, and we got a lot of great fans out of that show, let me tell you.
But, with as just diabolical as Vol Twitter can be, I'd like to see other teams have fan bases like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as you keep it within, some degree of, some degree of civility there. I mean,
2 years
I do
ago,
think it's worth mentioning that we were correct, though.
That is right. Yes, that is exactly right. 2 years ago, it was Missouri. They were the ones that we had a dude.
They were relentless.
Yeah, we told this story a couple weeks ago. I was on vacation, and a guy from Missouri bet me his Camaro for my minivan if Missouri didn't win 5 games or something. It was hilarious.
At one point, he was talking about his house.
Yeah.
It
was off the rails.
Going back to let's try to stay within some reason of normality here.
Yeah,
why are you betting your house? Well, that guy said something I didn't like on Twitter. So we've got to move. Yes, honey, we've got to move. It's no longer our house. He won it.
Mm-hmm. I lost it to a podcaster in Tennessee.
But you should have heard what he said. I had to do it.
We already signed the deed. It's on the market.
So we're halfway through the season here, and to recap, Santa says Syracuse is a W, ETSU is a W, Georgia's a W, UAB is a W, Mississippi State's a W, and now we're to the halfway point in the season, game 6 here. It is important to note this is coming off of a bye week. So we're coming off of a bye week. We host Arkansas. There is potential this could be a night game. It was listed as a flex game. So it could be the 3:30 slot on ABC. I doubt it would be that game. I'm going to guess this actually will end up being a night game because it'll be on one of either ESPN, ESPN2, or SEC Network that night, if I had to guess. So potentially under the lights, what do you think happens? Is it a revenge game against Arkansas? What do you think, Santa?
100% revenge game with Alabama coming up next. Could be a trap, but after last year, the way it ended, definitely 100% revenge game. We're going to, it's going to be a hog killing and meat and barbecue that night. It's going to be fun times in Knoxville.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, you make a good point. The tailgating that day, there's going to be barbecue everywhere.
You know it.
That's going to be a good game to be in Knoxville. I'm just saying. Get up there early and get some barbecue. All right. 3rd Saturday in October, we have to go to Alabama this year. You got us at 6-0 right now. What do you think happens at Alabama?
Honestly, the only negative to this one is going to Alabama. I won't be cliche and say the tide's turned, but I'm still not sold, and I don't think, more importantly, I don't know how much they're sold on DeBoers.
That's a good point.
Fans can talk, but the players, would you have somebody that was as strict and as disciplined as Saban, but won, and then you get to, somebody that's a little looser, a little more, quote, players coach, that's great. But if the results aren't the same, you're not going to get the buy-in. Kind of like the Georgia game, being on the road, if we can keep it close in the fourth quarter, I think we could see it getting to finish. Or if we can have a lead going in the fourth quarter, I don't know that they would have it in them to get back to us, So, I think we can come out of there with a win, which, we've been close a time or two down there recently. Finally get that monkey off our back. Let's get 2 in a row against these guys,
That's what I'm talking about. You sold me.
Well, and if you look at it, and of course, I'm a vol history nerd. You can tell by the stuff I put on Twitter all the time. But this is a series of streaks. It's extremely rare where it's 1-1-1-1. It's usually 3 or 4 in a row, or 8,000 in a row, or whatever Bama did to us. But it's usually at least 4 to 5 games in a row for one team or the other. Then you might have 1 or 2 off, and then another team gets a streak going. So, I mean, at some point, I got to think that's going to happen again. And, that it could start now. We're going to beat Alabama for the next 10 years. Go ahead, print it. Let's go.
Hey, if Santa says it, it has to be true.
Right.
So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 at this point. We have a second week in a row that we're on the road. We end October at Kroger Field playing Kentucky. What do you think happens at Kentucky?
Same thing that always happens at Kentucky.
I love it.
Yeah. And
that's what I'm talking about.
It's just full disclosure, I lived in Kentucky for like 8 years, and I didn't really, before I lived there, I didn't have any feelings one way or the other, but I lived about 2 hours from Lexington, and there's some, to be as good as they historically are in basketball, their football fans are, delusional is just the only word. But they're passionate. They get up every year and they talk a good game. But I think somebody said that Stoops is now the longest serving coach in Kentucky's history at like 14 years.
Wow.
It don't seem like he's been there 14 years. And it's just, he's an average coach, and they're going to be, win 8 or 9 games, maybe 10 or 11 every year or so, but not this year. It's just, I think they've lost too much. And apparently the coach that Louisville hired away from him was like his big recruiter guy. So that's one, you lose the big recruit that you have, and you lose him to Big Brother over in Louisville, or Little Brother, however they want to say it. But that's your main rival, and he just came in and poached your coach. That's got to be disheartening.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look there. Rebel G, welcome, buddy. He said if we beat Georgia, we beat Alabama, SEC championship game and playoffs at that point. I think that's fair. Rhonda said in the SEC, you never make bets like that, especially with the referees we get. About
funny how that can work.
The house and stuff. Elijah said Ryan Shumpert, that is a person with Rocky Top Insider, just posted a video of Bryson DeChambeau helping Nate Ament with his golf swing. That's funny. That's cool. I'll have to go check that out. Matt said he's got a couple tickets for the Arkansas game too. This will be my Neyland game this year. Oh, that's cool, man. That's exciting.
Nice.
That is awesome. I'm glad you're going to be there. Matt's right here in Chattanooga with us. That's what I'm talking about. Rebel Juice said, I think Heupel gets his biggest road win against Alabama in this season. Hey, man, that's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Jonathan said the Arkansas game scares me. Someone from Arkansas put some kind of witchcraft or voodoo on all of us for all sports, basically. Well, there's one thing, and I'm sure Sandoval would agree with this. If you don't know, he said that he loves Tennessee football history and what he puts on Twitter and stuff. So if you haven't seen it, he always has a Santa's nice list player and that kind of thing. And He always puts in like historical players and their stats, and he's a great follow on Twitter or X rather. So I would strongly recommend that. Brennan said, "Hey Brennan, welcome, buddy." He said Knoxville is going to be smoking a lot of pork that weekend. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Hey Brennan, have you got your hat yet? Has it been shipped to you yet? Let me know. So if you like this hat, look at that puff embroidery, man. That looks so good. You can find that on thevolbros.com/shop. Love that hat. Brennan ordered one. Let's see here. Rhonda said, Matt, you better cheer loud. Glad you get to be there. That's what I'm talking about. Rebel Juice said, Tennessee is Kentucky's daddy. That's a win. Jonathan said, write that in stone, Santa. We will beat Bama for the next 10 years. I love it. Jonathan said, we'll beat Kentucky by 50.
More than likely.
Rhonda said, we will get to hear that Kentucky guy ran again. That was hilarious last year, by the way. That was amazing. Well, we got 4 games left. So we're 8-0 at this point. And potentially another night game in Neyland. Personally, I don't think this one will be a night game in Neyland. I think this is going to be the 3:30 ABC game that week. But technically it could be at this point. So Oklahoma in Neyland. First time Oklahoma's been in Neyland since 2015. So 10 years. Wow. How in the world is that? Time flies, y'all. It absolutely flies. Yes. Well, Santa, what do you think happens in Neyland November 1st?
If we have it 4th and an inch at the goal line, we don't kick a field goal. I don't want to bring up old wounds, but like I said, I still have wake up in cold sweats from some of the play calls that we had to see sometimes. But yeah, I think Oklahoma's still trying to get back to where they were. Last year really surprised me how bad they were. They were just, and I don't know if, I won't say we took a lot of wind out of them, but I think, Heupel going back home and didn't really just beat them that bad, but I mean, just did enough to win. And then, their season, they couldn't get anything going at all. And they beat the snot out of Alabama, but, it's still, they just couldn't get anything, couldn't get any momentum. I don't know how much they're going to carry into the season. Could be different. Like I say, looking at, 8th game of the year, they may have something going, may not, but I think we still should be able to outman them. So yeah, go ahead and give us another W.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. At this point in the year, Oklahoma is either going to be clicking on all cylinders or they're going to be in shambles. It's going to be one of the two. They'll have their 3rd offensive coordinator in as many years. They're either going to be just, taking off like a rocket ship or crashing really bad. One of the two. Hopefully for Tennessee's sake, it's the latter. But we'll see what happens. Let's see. Brendan said he hasn't got his hat yet. He's checking the mailbox every day, patiently waiting. Kind of. He's kind of being patient. That's what I'm talking about. Well, hopefully he gets to you very soon, Brendan. Matt said fireworks already popping off in Hickson. Happy 4th, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. All right. The salute to services game, which they unveiled the smoky gray uniforms today. Side note, we're going to talk about that in just a second. And Santa, I'd like to hear your opinion on that too. But this is the game that they will be wearing the smoky grays. They've already announced that. New Mexico State. Santa, any trouble with New Mexico State, you think?
There shouldn't be. It's just, and again, it's one of those where you don't want to talk down to a smaller team or overlook any opponents, but there won't be any problems
here.
There you
go. So that leaves 2 games left. We have to go to Gainesville, and we host Vandy. We're 10-0 at this point, Santa. What do you think happens in the Swamp?
Historically, in the Swamp, we lose. That's just, there's no 2 ways about it. But that's playing in September. Pushing it back later in the season. 2001, when we upset them, That was because 9/11 had the game delayed. We didn't play it till the first weekend in December. So, later in the season, who knows what's going to happen? Much like Oklahoma, those guys are either going to be clicking and bought in, or they're going to be in shambles and just trying to run the string out and get done with the season. But I like our chances going down there, and I don't get into Negavol territory often, but when people try to get hyped about going to Florida, and I'm just like, guys, pump the brakes. And you can go back, look in the history books in the 50s, 60s, 70s. We don't play well at Florida. It's rare that we do. We've had some big wins once in a while there. That was like, last year when everybody was like, I can't believe the Florida game was so close. I'm like, that was the Tennessee-Florida football game, man. That's how it's going to be. The blowouts are few and far between. But I like our chances with it later in the season. We should know what we've got. They'll know what they've got. But I like those chances better than playing them the first 3 weeks, like we usually do. And it's just by the end of the season, it's like, man, I wish we would play them again. But this year, late in the season, if this game was the second or third week, I don't know that I would pick Tennessee necessarily, as scary as that is for me to say. But playing this late in the year, I think we get the W.
So you think by this point, Tennessee's got the quarterback situation nailed down. They're rocking and rolling. There you go. Well,
better.
So that's 11.
If the quarterback situation isn't nailed down by here, we're sitting
We're
sitting about 6-4.
Right. It's not looking good.
So, end of the year, senior night against Vanderbilt. Well, senior afternoon.
Right.
Because it'll be a 3:30 or 4:30 game. Any trouble with Vandy, or do the Vols finish the season undefeated?
That would finish undefeated. Vandy's not going to do anything. We're slowly getting back to where it should be. We're Tennessee, they're Vandy, and I live about an hour west of Nashville, so I get to listen to people all the time. But and Vandy's the only school that I really don't care to talk trash about, just because I just don't like Vanderbilt. I'm kind of George Capago with it. But what they have to understand is they beat us 3 out of 4 years or something stupid. But that was when we were at the worst our program has ever been in history.
Yeah.
And they were at the best they've ever been, and they were winning 8 games and thinking they had done something. They didn't raise up to our level. We dropped down below them. And now we're coming back on it. Yeah, it's fixing to get back. We're going to go off on another run, win 19, 20 in a row against them. I know, even with the NIL money and they're able to get more athletes, they're still Vanderbilt. It's just.
I love Sandoval. This is awesome. He's pumping me up.
And like I said, Vandy's the only team that I'll just talk that much trash about. I guess it's because I grew up so close to Nashville. I don't know, but it's just they're always Vandy, and they always will be.
Everybody, hey, you heard it here first. Tennessee. If Santa says it, it's true. So Tennessee going undefeated this year. If that's the case, certainly we'll end the season number 1 in the country, have the number 1 ranking going into the playoff. So let it be written. So let it be done. Santa has spoken.
And somehow we'll still have to play a road game in the playoffs.
I love it. That's awesome.
The Tennessee rule will be in effect.
Let's see here. Carl, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Carl's here. He said, howdy, folks. Elijah said Dylan Loy has committed to Georgia Tech. Interesting.
Yeah, they announced it about 15 minutes ago.
I wish him nothing but the best. Let's see here. Brennan said, Rhonda said, you be nice. Santa's here, Carl. and Brennan said, let's hear it, Carl. Naughty or nice, we enjoy your comments. Jonathan said, Florida frustrates me. I've seen too many games in 6-3, and we lose when we have the better team.
Exactly.
I say more witchcraft and voodoo. Ruston and I can attest to seeing close games so we were there for the first ever Checker Neyland game in 2014, I think it was, against Florida. And it was a 10-9 loss. It was heartbreaking. And Corey Vereen at the end of the game, Tennessee is trying to cause a fumble, do anything to get the ball back. Florida's just taking a knee to end it. Corey Vereen reaches out and knocks the football out of the center's hand as he snaps it, causes a fumble, and they had to go to replay to verify that Corey Vereen had knocked the ball out of the center's hand. Fun times. Except for the loss. That wasn't
Right.
Rhonda said, Santa, please do something with the Vandy Whistler. That guy is for sure on the naughty list.
Yes. Thankfully, he don't show up for football, or if he does, he doesn't sit near a microphone, because I've never heard him at football games. And with their stellar crowds that they get for football, we'd be able to hear him. So,
Carl, this is amazing. Carl said, don't worry, folks. He knows what's going to happen with the quarterback situation. We're going 10-2 with Boo Carter running the Wildcat. I don't know if that's going to totally work out for us. Rebel Jew gave us a comment about the Smoky Grays. I'm going to save that one because we're about to talk about that. Jonathan said Vandy won 3 or 4 games when we were at our worst, and they still have lost like 80 or 90 times to us.
Exactly.
Mississippi Vol said, I'm like Tony Basile, you're firing me up, you're focusing me, and you're preparing me. Let's see. Carl said, look forward to seeing Santa all season. It's definitely football time in Tennessee. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
All right. So with all that being said, I guess I need to put it on the screen so that people can see what I'm referring to. I should have pulled that up ahead of time. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to put on the screen what Tennessee announced earlier today. These are the 2025 Smoky Gray uniforms. You can let us know in the comments what you think about them. I'm going to go last. Santa, I'll let you go first. Ruston, you follow up Santa. I'm curious to hear your opinion, Santa. What do you think about the new Smoky Grays?
I don't hate them. I think we've had better looking Smoky Grays. I do like the stencil numbers. I think those look sharp. I don't understand the light gray pants with the dark gray tops. I know that they said something military wise uniform look, but I don't know. But and I am from the older crowd. I'm more, why don't we just wear orange and white? I get that. But the Smoky Grays from the first ones they rolled out, 10, 15 years ago to now, every year, our alternate uniforms are just, other teams have gray or black, but they just don't look the same. Somehow, I don't know if it's our color scheme, how we do it, but the orange just pops with the Smoky Gray or with the black. I think they look sharp, and they'll be the best looking alternate uniforms in college this year again, because that's how it works. I mean, we've got the best looking uniforms. I do like the patch with the TriStar and the shield kind of look.
Yeah, that is the best part. I agree. That and the Vol-Star logo on the bumper on the helmet.
Yeah.
Ruston, what is your take on the Smoky Grays for this year?
So I appreciate the fact that it's a shout out to the Tennessee Air National Guard. The reason for the multiple grays is if you watch the video, they show all the different planes that are a part of the Air National Guard, and they're different shades of gray. And so it was a hat tip to that. It's a hat tip I wish they hadn't made. I absolutely hate them. I think they look god awful. And it's almost like Nike said, okay, we know you're leaving us and going to Adidas, so we're going to screw you over with the ugliest uniforms we can come up with this year. It was like they went to their Vietnamese sweatshops and said, hey, how many shades of gray do we have? Let's make their jersey in this shade, and then let's pretend we don't have any more of that and make their pants in this other one. So it just looks really weird. So I hate it. I think it looks awful. I love the hat tip to the Air National Guard. I I think it'll be even cooler if they do it on the Georgia game, since that's 2 days after 9/11, rather than doing it on New Mexico State. Although it will be nice for it to happen against New Mexico State because no one will see them. So that's a positive. But you know, I love the hat tip. I hate the uniform. I hope this isn't Nike being spiteful after they're losing the contract. But my goodness, could they have found anything more ugly?
Carl, you the man. He said naughty list payment, only 4,000 payments left. Hey, we appreciate that very much, Carl. You the man. Matt said, wow, Ruston aggressive.
I was literally angry watching the video today. I don't normally care that much, but I was watching it going, how in the world did you have multiple eyes look at that and go, yeah, that looks great. Have multiple shades of gray. It'll be wonderful. And what drove me even more crazy is the trim that's on the jersey doesn't actually match the trim that's on the pants. So it's like they invented two separate uniforms, just kind of hodgepodge it together, and they're like, they'll be fine with it. Just send that.
Carl said, Ruston hating 50 Shades of Gray.
Yeah.
Brennan said, Ruston equals honest. There you go. Jonathan said, tell us how you really feel, Ruston.
I don't think it was a coincidence though that about a month ago Candace Parker was named the president of women's basketball at Adidas, and this past weekend she and Kim Caldwell were there for several big events at the WNBA. I think that was very much paving the way for what's about to be announced, and having a Lady Vol in the executive suite at Adidas makes me feel a lot better, especially after seeing this garbage get unveiled. So, I'm open for anything at this point.
So here's my take on the Smoky Grays for this season. I love the intent behind it. I love the nod to the military. I love that they're trying to honor the military in this way. To Ruston's point, it would have been probably a cool thing if it had been 2 days after 9/11. But like we've said on this, the show many times, Danny White has made it very well known publicly that in traditional rivalry games, Tennessee will be wearing orange and white. He said that repeatedly. So Georgia, Florida, Alabama, those are 3 games every year. You can take it to the bank. Tennessee will be wearing orange and white. And the thing that cracks me up the most about that, sorry, this is totally a side note. The thing that cracks me up the most about that was literally like a couple weeks after he said that, Tennessee wore black dark mode uniforms at Kentucky, which was basically just telling Kentucky, we do not view you as a rival. I loved it. It was amazing. But with that being said, I love, like I said, the intent behind it. I'm not a fan of the execution of that attempt. Somebody asked me earlier on Twitter, what is it specifically that I'm not a fan of? And if I had to pinpoint it,
everything.
I'm not a fan of the 2 different shades of gray. I'm not a fan of that. I get it. It's part of the nod, but I get it.
So a little ways down the comments, JL says the color of the pants matches the lettering. If you zoom in, it actually doesn't. That's what they were trying to do. But because the jersey is so dark, it bleeds through the outline on the lettering. So you actually have 3 different shades of gray. You have the dark gray jersey. You have like an off gray trim around the numbers, and then a completely another shade on the pants.
Well,
the execution was very poor.
The thing of the whole thing, the part that I'd like the least are the stripes that are supposed to look like part of the runway. That's the part that I like the least. So it's on either side of the orange stripe on the helmet. It's on the shoulders, right above the arms. It's on the back of the pants, which is weird. It's supposed to be the side, but there's one orange stripe on the side, and then the runway stripes kind of go around to the back of the pant. You can kind of see it right here. If I can't really zoom in, but so I wish that they had made the stripes Tennessee stripes, not the runway. I get it, it's airplanes. I get it. So not necessarily my cup of tea, but I wish that if they had not included the airplane stripes, the runway stripes, it would have been better. And if the pants matched, that would also be a nice thing. But it is a cool, nod to the military.
I love the fact that they're spotlighting the Tennessee Air National Guard. The thing that bothers me is, the whole thing with Adidas was we were going to have design say on everything Adidas makes. After seeing this unveiled, I have less confidence in the people who are going to have those design says, that they didn't see the proofs of this and go, no, let's keep working, guys. And it's hard. It's hard to understand how they got to this place because, as Santa said, I love the black uniforms. Every black uniform Nike's released has been fantastic.
Best dark mode uniform in the country.
And then they unveiled this, and it's like, what happened? Like, who was involved in this? Did you fire them yet? Because they shouldn't be here anymore.
Rebel Juice said the new smoky gray uniforms are kind of bad. The jersey should have been lighter and the pants darker. He said Nike got mad about the move to Adidas. Brennan said, I'm torn. Nike has some nice gear. However, Adidas feels like 98. Elijah said he's not a fan of them. JL says he likes them.
Nike may intentionally butcher every uniform they make for us this upcoming year to smooth that transition in 26.
JL said, I like the nod to Davy Crockett. I do like that. So, what Santa mentioned is actually my favorite part. In the digital graphics that they made for these uniforms in the reveal, they had additional things so for example, they made like a crest, like a seal, that had the TriStar logo on it. And that's what Sandoval was referencing a minute ago. And it looks really good. There, and part of the other digital graphics, they've got a Tennessee football player and Davy Crockett standing back to back, and that looks really, really cool. I wish some of that stuff had been on these. That'd be cool. Especially that the crest that Sandoval mentioned earlier with the TriStar on it. That would have been perfect. Like so right here across from, I know there's an SEC patch that we actually typically put it above the Nike swoosh, but on the opposite chest, that crest that Sandoval was talking about with the TriStar, that would have been perfect right there. So that would have been a nice touch if it had been there. JL said, I like the nod to Davy Crockett for sure. Elijah said he likes the helmet. John said, I personally liked him. It would have been better if the color on the pants and jerseys was switched, but other than that, they look sharp. Jonathan said, I do think last year's smoky gray was better. Let's see. Last year's was good. Last year's was real good.
Because the jersey and pant actually matched. They came from the same factory.
Let's see. Some of the other comments that came through. Carl said, if I can find a black and white TV, the unis will look fine. Matt said,
Correct.
I like them. He thinks they're sick. Let's see. He said the helmet's cool. Rebel Juice said it would have looked better with a light shade of gray and dark shade of pants. Not great, but better. Rebel Juice, he said light shade of gray or jersey is what he meant to say. Brendan said new Vol Bros merch, any 3 fans, any 3 shades of gray. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good one, Brendan. That may be my favorite one so far. JL said, my understanding is above the shoulders was to mimic the fingers of Crockett's jacket.
Fringe.
Oh, gotcha.
Fringes of Crockett's jacket.
I thought it was supposed to be a runway. Whoops, my bad.
That's because it wasn't explained well. No one knew what
Yeah.
those jagged little stripes were.
Why don't you put
Carl
actual
said-
fringe on it?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm
Just
talking about.
flopping down
Why
the
not?
field, and it'd be great.
Why not attach a coonskin tail to
The back of every helmet. Now that would be awesome. Carl said, if we put 50 on them, would it change your opinion?
If
Y'all
we
know
wear
we're
them against New
superstitious as all
Mexico
get out.
State, if we wear them against New Mexico State, we could play in lingerie and hang 50 on them. It ain't gonna matter.
Jonathan said, I really want to see the all orange look again, including the
Yes.
helmet. It was sharp. It was sharp.
Yep.
Matt said, ultimately, we wear this jersey once and usually against a no name, so who really cares? That's fair. Rebel G said, I'll listen to that game on the radio so I don't have to see the uniform. Oh, man. I was curious what people were going to say. I was curious to hear people's opinions. Well, Santa, I've got one last question for you, and I didn't prep you for this one, so sorry. Rustin knows how that feels.
That's the large majority of our episodes.
There are many times. See, I just thought about it like an hour before we went live. I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to ask him that." There's many times when I'll be sitting, and it'll be like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and something will come in my mind and be like, "Oh, that's a good question," and I'll hang on to it until the show, and then I'll ask Rustin, and I know he's thinking like, "Why didn't you ask me? Tell me this before," Carl said, "Who is that quarterback for New Mexico State?"
Diego Pavia.
He's Vanderbilt now.
The entire Vanderbilt offensive staff used to be New Mexico State, which is why New Mexico State's taken a step backwards. They lost everything. Vanderbilt came and took it all away from them.
So, Santa, here's my last question for you. And, it hasn't been announced, I don't think officially, if teams are going to be allowed to bring 2 or 3 people to SEC Media Days. For years, it was 3. Then for like 1 year, they dropped it to 2. I don't know what it's going to be this year. So we'll just go with 2. And if you want to throw out a third person, you can. With SEC Media Days coming up, if you had to take a guess at who you think Tennessee will take as far as players are concerned, which 2 players, maybe 3, do you think they'll take?
Yeah, that's a good question because this year we don't really have any superstars coming back. Gerard McCoy, definitely, but after McCoy, I want to find somebody on offense. But I mean, it's hard to say because we don't have that superstar coming back.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Maybe you don't want to take 2 different players. I was going to say maybe take Aaron Carter, but I mean, I'm not sure there. But
so you just picked the 2 that. So here's my prediction. Rustin, you can give us your prediction too, and everybody in the comments, you can give us your prediction too. I think you hit for sure the number 1 guy that's going to be there, and that's Jermod McCoy. I think Jermod is a lock. He's a shoe-in. He will be there. I think the second person, it's going to be either Arion Carter or Jeremiah Teenlander, one of the 2 of them. And if there's a third, I mean, like you said, you got to find somebody on offense at that point. And in that case, I would go Miles Kitzelman.
Okay.
I think he might get the nod. Ruston, if you had to pick 2 or 3 guys, who do you think will represent Tennessee at SEC Media Days?
I'll be contentious. I don't think Jermod McCoy will be there at all. He's still in rehab.
Yep.
And that amount of walking around and standing, getting up, sitting, moving, he's rehabbing a torn ACL. Like that, all that extra movement and stuff, that's a lot to ask of him.
That's a fair point.
And they're not going to risk even the plane flight. Like that's miserable. When you have a torn ACL, sitting in a plane seat for a couple hours is just awful. So they're going to say, no, we'd rather you stay behind and rehab and take care of your body. We'll take somebody else. I think it'll be Arion Carter, Lance Hurd, and Bryson Eason.
I
think
Bryson
Heupel
Eason
will
would be a good
showcase.
one.
I think Heupel will showcase physicality and take 3 monsters.
I like the Bryson Eason choice. That's a 6th year dude, at least 5th year. That would be a good one.
I like Lance Hurd. You're one primary returning starter on the offensive line who should be all SEC. You know, you're trying to put a spotlight on him as a leader in that room. I think he makes a lot of sense. And then Arion Carter's the captain of the defense, so he makes a ton of sense.
Hey, speaking of Arion Carter, I hadn't propped it back up since it fell down the other night during our show. This year's Football Time in Tennessee magazine on newsstands now. You can get that. Our good buddy Reed Carringer. Hopefully Reed's going to be joining us actually the Sunday after SEC Media Days on the show. But let's see if I can get it to stand up first try. Look at that. How about it's probably about to fall. But it'll be fun to see who they take. They will be announcing it next week. So
I will say this. If they take Jermod McCoy, that's a really good sign.
Right.
That means his rehab is way ahead of schedule. He's very comfortable moving around and getting up, getting down, flying on a plane. Like, until you've had a surgery like that, you don't understand how much those things are difficult in rehab and how miserable they are. So if he's able to do all that, that's a really good sign.
Here's a fun question. Do we see Jermod McCoy on the field before Georgia?
We hope we don't have to. I mean, to be honest.
I agree.
Or very limited, just to, get a good sweat going and then, make sure everything's good to go and just,
just to test it out.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Matt said he doesn't think we see him on the field. Jonathan
you almost
said,
have to. If we don't, that's actually, in my opinion, problematic for Georgia. Like, you got to get him some run. You got to give him a chance to test it in real situations. You don't want him testing it for the first time against Georgia.
Right.
Jonathan said Lance Hurd is going to have to play better this year than he did last year. He seemed to take several plays off a game last season. That's fair assessment. There's video evidence to back that up, actually.
Yeah.
Jonathan said Jermod will probably play like 10 plays against ETSU. That's fair.
Yep.
Definitely no more than a half, Jonathan said he agrees with the 3 that I came up with. Carl said Vandy will own us. Diego Pavia says so.
Yeah, sure.
He does say so. You're right. Unfortunately, I think he might be wrong there for Diego.
He did so well last year against us, though. I mean, he's got to be confident.
Yeah, exactly. Jonathan said, did y'all see the list on Facebook of the starting lineup of the best teams since Tony V got to Tennessee? I did see that. Maybe that'll be a fun thing we do Sunday night. That'll be fun.
It's quite a list.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Santa, we so appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us. We certainly appreciate you. Honorary bro.
Yes, sir.
Santa of all here. That's what I'm talking about. You are still an honorary bro, and so we appreciate you so much.
All right. And guys, I just want to, before we get out of here, this will be, hard to believe, this will be the 10th year that I've done this, but starting August 1st until the first game, I will have a different autographed item on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and if I can make it work on TikTok this year, every day I will give away a different signed item, 100% free. Just go follow me, Santa_Vol on TikTok or on Twitter, and then it's got a link to the rest of them. But
that's what I'm talking about.
And if you need a fun Christmas gift, Santa Vol's on Cameo.
Oh yeah,
yes,
Christmas
sir.
or 4th of July or whatever.
True. If you need a Christmas in July gift.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad Ruston said that because I just realized I hadn't shown that yet. I found this out today. I was today years old when I realized that you could do this. Santa Vol is on Cameo.
I just realized that I had pretty much shaved everything except the goatee after Christmas. So I turned off the Cameo option. And then I was like, what's this? What's this on my phone? I didn't recognize the icon, and I clicked on it. I was like, oh, Cameo. Let me turn that back on. Like, I've got the beard back. I need to have it back on. Maybe I can, get $10, say hi to somebody.
Well, I just posted a link directly to Santa Vol's Cameo page on the comments in both Facebook and YouTube. And right now I will do that on the Twitter. Let's see here. So on the comments of this post on Twitter where we're live, I just put the link to Santa Vol's Cameo on there. That would be an awesome Christmas gift right there.
Christmas in July.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, Santa. We appreciate you. It is always fun to have you on here. Jonathan said, thanks, Santa, for joining us. He appreciates you. Matt appreciates you too. Let's see. Eric, welcome, buddy. He said, what's up, Vol Bros and Santa? Eric's just joined us. Appreciate you joining us, bud. Carl said, you rock, brother. You rock, Santa.
I try.
Rhonda said, thank you, Santa. You are well loved in our house. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Brendan said, thanks, Santa Vol.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Matt said, Pavia won't make it to the end of the season with that talk. And you're probably right.
Good odds.
Well, we hope everyone has a wonderful weekend ahead of you, a fantastic and safe 4th of July.
Yes. Keep off 10 fingers.
Yes, absolutely. Santa, I don't think brings fingers for Christmas. So
we don't have that technology.
But he does bring candy canes to Neyland Stadium in the fall. So if you're looking for Santa and in the Vol Walk, he will have a candy cane for you, I'm sure. So we appreciate you. Yeah, Carl said Christmas in July. There you go. That's exactly right. So hit Santa up on Cameo, and we appreciate everybody for joining us this evening. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you all for the interaction that you gave us this evening. We hope everybody has a great evening. Jonathan said, great show as always. I'll see everyone Sunday. Have a great 4th, everyone. Be safe. Hey, we appreciate that. So Matt got it. He said, go Vols, baby. That's right. That's how we end every show, Santa. Carl said, great show. Appreciate you, Carl. You the man, dude. We appreciate everybody. Go Vols, baby. And we will see you all Sunday night.